Well, I was born and raised here in Fayetteville, so I grew up. I had the opportunity back in the old days where I could catch a bus out off Cumming Road and come downtown and go to the movie theater on Hay Street. There were several theaters, those kind of stuff. You know, for 50 cents you could get in and get popcorn and a drink. That's a long time ago. Can't do that anymore. But I actually lived out off Cumming Road, so we had PWC electric services, the only thing we had, but I didn't pay the bills, my parents did, so I really didn't have a whole lot of a concept from that perspective. But you know, I went away to college for 4 years in Raleigh and came back here, and you know, somebody made a suggestion to me that I ought to try to see if I could get on it locally, and I said, okay, that's a good idea. So I came down and applied and got a job, so been here ever since. You know, I made $7,000 fresh out of college annually. And, you know, that wasn't a super lot of money, but it was a lot of money for me back then. The good thing about a small public utility compared to an investor-owned type was in engineering you got to be involved in everything. So I did a little bit of distribution work, worked with new services coming in, worked overhead underground engineering services, put in new feeder lines, got into the point where I was working with substations and substation design and installation, maintenance, those types of programs over the first from 72 to through 75. I was working in all those different areas. Then in 75 I became the company's on-site engineer for the generation plant installation, and I was out there for a long time. You know, you expect going into a new company, and in those days you thought of being in that company for your whole career, which is today very unusual, but for me my expectation was to be the chief engineer at some point in my career, and that's the one position I never held while I've been here. So expect the unexpected. You know, I came in as basically engineer 1, went to engineer 1, 2, and 3. Was an engineer when I went to the generation plant. But after a number of years out there, I moved up to you know, several other positions, and eventually, after 22 years of experience, I became the general manager. So it took a while to get here. I picture myself as a Christian, and I try to be the best I can. I'm not a perfect Christian by any means, but when you're making life-changing decisions, you need to ask the Lord for His guidance. And I did. When I put in the application, there were 9 directors, and I was one of the directors at PWC. I just asked the Lord, you know, if I can truly make a difference, then you help me get this job. So I got the job, and I've been trying to make a difference ever since. Being involved in the Butler Warren generation plant by far it had the greatest impact on PWC's decision not to be a part of the power agency cities, and it saved PWC and its customers hundreds of millions of dollars over its life. So it was a very good project to be involved in, and I was the lead person for PWC. And the place where the plant was built at was a soybean field. So when you first go out there, it was just a farm field full of soybeans. And I had no real concept of what it would grow into over time. But you know, now there's $100 million worth of equipment stuff out there, and it provides power to the grid to support this community as well as others now. Well, Hurricane Fran came in 95, 96 time frame, and I became general manager in 94. So it hadn't been long since I had left the generation plant, and if you want to call it, I felt like I was well versed in operations. So when Fran came through, I worked along with everybody else. I worked 48 hours straight, if you want to call it the first shift. But during part of the hurricane, we lost what we call our point of delivery number 2, where the generation plant is located. It tripped offline, so I left the operations center and went out there to help. And we got it back home, and I got stranded for about an hour and a half at Cargill, trees down on both sides of the road where I couldn't get out. And our folks came and cut the trees out so I could get out and go back to the operations center. But that's unusual, sitting there in a hurricane and the wind's blowing and nobody else around, and you know, kind of by yourself for hour and a half sitting in a vehicle. Can't go anywhere, can't do anything, but just wait. Technology has changed. Computers have changed the world, and it's changed the way we do business. And most of it for the good. There's always a lot of issues when you have computer systems, because when they shut down, you don't have anything to work with until you can get back up. But those kind of technologies has really made a big difference. And then, of course, the equipment, infrastructure, installation methodologies, those kind of things have all changed, hopefully for the better, to allow our folks to work more safely whenever they're doing that kind of installation work and to respond to emergencies. And then we have technology that gives us more information about outages and those kind of things much earlier, so they can respond faster. And whereas in the past, as an example, we would have crews standing by even after hours to respond to emergencies once we could determine where an emergency was at and what was causing it. Now, typically, we don't have people standing by after hours, but we can find out that we have an emergency, where it's located at, and have people respond and get services back on in less than an hour, even though they had to come from home to respond. So it's made some big changes in the way we do our business. Our folks have demonstrated that they are the best at what they do, and we've been recognized at that. From the plants being recognized for their EPA records, those types of things, the operations and individuals being recognized for the contribution they make to the industry as a whole, as well as to what they've done for PWC, and then just the folks here being involved in the community, and the community spirit they have is one of the best. And you can just look at United Way as one aspect. We have 39 marquee members in United Way, and the closest company to us has 9 marquee members. So when you look at that kind of record and the dedication of our folks, considering there's a lot of larger companies here, we have about 600 people, but between the city, the county, the hospital, Goodyear, those folks who have thousands of employees, our folks really step up to the plate and do a great job for this community. Not only community service, but in the services they provide from utilities perspective. Well, safety at PWC has really developed over a long period of time, and we do have today the best record that I'm aware of, and the best one that the company has ever had at this point. We went from having many accidents on a regular basis in our workers' comp and those types of expenses. We're running $600,000–700,000 a year to we haven't had a lost time injury now since November of 2011. So we've topped over 4 million man hours for working without a lost time injury, and that's really a tribute to all of our employees, because any one employee can have any kind of accident at any time doing anything while they're on the job, and that record could be gone. We've had 1 million man hours 7 or 8 times now. We've had 2 million a couple of times. We've had 3 million, and now 4 million man hours. And we're moving toward 5 million, and I feel confident that we'll make 5 million. I just feel that comfortable with the folks we got and their seriousness they take of safety, because accidents not only involve the company, hurt the company, but it hurts the employee, because sometimes you don't ever fully recover from an accident. Well, I had the pleasure of working with a number of local citizens who are, maybe you would call them prominent citizens, that people may have heard of some of the names. Robert C. Williams, who was actually a school principal at Reed Ross, he was a commissioner for 20 years. He was on the commission that hired me as the general manager, so I remember him, and we still have a relationship. When I first came on, Tommy McCoy was the chairman, and whenever I was hired, he passed away, and his brother Bobby came on the board. Great people to work with, Bob Butler, Jim Warner, people like that, where the Butler Warner Generation Plant was named after. Lindo Tippett, who went on later to be the Secretary of Transportation. Even today, working with great people who have the interest of PWC, the city, and the folks that we provide services to at heart. They really take their job seriously and do a great job. I think the first thing I would make sure they understand is that PWC is a great place to work, and it's not because it's PWC is because there's 600 great people here, and they all work together, they come together. They're just a very good team that can take that person wherever they want to go. As I tell folks, whenever you work 40 hours a week plus, you spend more of your waking hours with your PWC family than you do typically with your home family. So a lot of relationships there, and you get to celebrate the happy times with them, and you comfort them as best you can during the sad times and those kind of things. But it's been a great career. I'm proud to be from Fayetteville. Fayetteville is a great place. There's just a lot of great people here. And even though PWC and the city doesn't always see eye to eye on different things, I think everybody has the best interest of the city and the citizens. And it doesn't matter whether you work for PWC or you work for the city. The goal here is to make this place better for everybody, because it's not just us, it's our families that live here. My family live here. I've got 3 kids, 2 of them still live here. I've got grandkids in this area, and I plan to retire and stay in this area. So we only want the best for the city of Fayetteville and the people around here. Well, when you look at PWC's existence since 1905, we're 110 years old, and I've been here 43 of those. So I've been here a long time, and I hope that folks will look back and say that they've done a very good job providing the services they did, and that they really had concerns for the community and stepped forward and did what was necessary. And we do that. I mean, our folks do that. I love to brag on our folks because they do such a great job, on and off the job. They're just great people.